should we play? You know, it's almost like you throw caution to the wind. And I like the fact that you even added some things, because I think Liszt would approve of that.
Liszt did it all the time.
Yeah. So I would say, no, this is something to think about. So I'm curious to know if you did it on purpose, though. When you play the very opening, as opposed to the introduction, those repeated D sharps, and then when the main theme comes in, how are you relating those two ideas? I want to know before I make a comment about it, because it may be something you're doing intentionally.
I guess in the beginning I start off very quiet and serious, and I lead more and more.
Yeah, and I think it can sound improvisatory. The only thing I would say is you can also toy with the idea of relating that tempo of bum, 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 to dum, dum, dee, dum, 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 because it sounds a little detached from that. I mean, I understand what you're doing, and I like what you're doing actually, but maybe don't. I think what you have to understand is, or think about, is when a piece first starts, we have to establish some sort of underlying pulse. After that's established, then you can, I mean, a famous example is this. You hear some people go like this. Okay, which sounds very dreamy and beautiful and all of that, but it's hard to understand what that pulse is, whereas if you do, Brahms, if you do something like maybe stay a little bit more, establish that pulse first, and then you can be free and deviate from it a little bit. Even within those opening measures, I would say even the first set, maybe a little more strict, and then the second one you can, just so that people feel rooted and anchored. That's just something to think about. Okay, so all the jumps were good, all of that. Now I'm going to say something similar to what I did with Royce, is the make sure that you unify phrases and don't accent ends of phrases. Like bum, ba, ba, bum, bee, ba, ba, bum, bum, don't, because that would be equivalent to saying a sentence, a bunch of words, and on the last word in the sentence, you just decided to randomly shout. People would think you're crazy. So that's what I mean, just have the overall cadence of the thing make sense. So, you know what I mean? This, dee, ba, ba, bum, dee, ba, ba,
Do you want this?
dee, ba, 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 yeah. Thank you. This, this is just one example. Oh yeah. Here at the bottom. So in other words, make sure that's the end of the phrase. It's a pretty easy, because you were all very clear in here. That sounded really good. Can you just start somewhere in there? Because what is that progression there? It's right. So if you do, see how that would sound strange? But so even when you've got all those notes, again, it's the same thing I mentioned in number 2. Think of the underlying skeleton of the thing, sort of. And pedaling for you also. Touch, dot, 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 change, dot, 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 change. It's a little bit dry, what you're doing there. Can you do that? Yes. See, that way you're outlining the harmonic progression. See, in other words, not just thinking about, I want to show everybody how I can do these jumps, but it's making musical sense. And then suddenly, a piece that's a real showy piece like La Campanella also starts to have some musical value. You see what I mean? Okay. Because sometimes pieces like this get criticized because it becomes more like a circus acrobatic kind of thing. This was all good. Trills were really good. Boy, you made a huge crescendo up at the top. That was great. Oh, here's another spot like that. Can you do that there? And do that same pedaling idea. That might be hard to start there. Yeah, that's good. I think we can do it. Yeah. And even when it's soft, just it's got to relate, of course, to the other, but always just play deep into the key. Yeah, and I would maybe have even those have a little bit of direction. Yeah, you see what I mean? So that it's not just like you don't want it to sound like an exercise, right? I mean, when you practice, yes, but okay, just so it has some direction there. These here, that was one of your, that was a little bit weaker there, musically, not that you have the notes well. Can you try that in there? And I'll show you what I mean. Yeah. See, this is what we were talking about in number 2 also. Be very careful that you don't go da 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 da. It becomes very notey, so to speak. Think about da 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 da. So again, you get the what's the skeleton there? See if you can just figure out without playing all the notes. Just like what's the basic harmony there? Right? So see, then it starts to have that shape. Can you try that with that in mind? But first, I'd like you to play the left hand alone there, because you're not playing deep enough there. Yeah, so your ear should hear this. Have your listening focus there while you're doing. So try. Yes, that's it. Yeah, so now you still do that. Ready? Go ahead. No, just the left. All right, now you do both. Now, see, you went back to your old way. So. Okay, well you can work on that, but I think do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so it has a more musical feeling there. Then when you've got all of this, or what's the first one? Even those can have a more shape. You're making a great sound. You're making a really wonderful crescendo. But it could sound even more exciting without speeding if you do, instead of just making it all forte. You see what I mean? Try that. I wouldn't do, just have it be in tempo. It'll sound what you're trying to achieve, because you're starting way down. The piano can only give so much, even a magnificent piano. It can only give so much because it's not, so if you're going to keep the crescendo going and give the impression there's more and more volumes of sound and energy, we've got to come down at some point, right? And then you can build it back up. Try that. You don't have to go. If you don't do the crescendo, then you feel like you've got to go faster. But if you do the pedaling skillfully, because it'll build that sound up underneath, it'll give the illusion that it's faster than it is. You see what I mean? Try that.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and keep it, and take it all the way from all the way to the top there. That's right. All right, just keep going. This is, in a way, similar to. There's one half of it that's a little bit the question. The other half is a little bit more of the reply. So we have this. You see how that up there in the treble answers the big build-up that you had there? Try.
I'm glad he's telling me.
So you'll and try to stay loose. I mean, the finger itself is firm from here, knuckle down, but wrist, everything up here, if you're tight, then you're gonna, it's gonna be hard to do that. So, see, then it'll go easier. And ending was all good. You made a huge build up there. That was good. How about the rhythm here? Can you have that be just maybe a little bit tighter?
I tell him that too.
Try that. So think about that. Now this again, it's not just about making the orchestral sound. If you think about the structure, see, think about where that's going, and that will have this shine more above that. Okay? Great job.